Welcome to Not Entirely Unlike Tea with Christine Collins. Hey there, it's Christine Collins, and today we have a funny topic related to the importance of humor in your mindset. Humor can literally change your brain chemistry and have a very big impact on your mindset and your life and your business. When you are experiencing something like a really funny joke that you understand, your brain has this little cascade of different events. First, we have the prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like our brain CEO, engaging to understand the context of the joke. The temporal lobe, which is processing the linguistic elements. And then when we hit the punchline and we understand it, we get this little cocktail of all these different neurotransmitters. So we get dopamine, which is pleasure and motivation. We get an endorphin release, kind of like natural painkillers, and reducing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And it engages many different parts of the brain simultaneously and strengthens connections between the logical left hemisphere and the more creative right hemisphere. So that cross-hemisphere communication is also enhancing cognitive flexibility and even problem solving. And what's really interesting is that it's not just hearing a joke, understanding the joke, and appreciating the joke. There's also some benefit even just in the anticipation of being about to laugh at something or being about to encounter something funny. So there's some feel-good chemical release even in that moment. The moment of sitting down in a comedy club, before the jokes even start getting told, you're anticipating a period of enjoyment. And there are some really interesting mindset benefits in having humor be a regular part of your life. So first off, it can help us to create some psychological distance from things that are problematic or worrying for us. If we can laugh at certain situations, we can actually shift our perspective a little bit, and it helps us activate some different neural pathways. It also increases our resilience, where we can kind of take something that we initially maybe thought of as a threat or a challenge and reappraise it, reframe it in a new way, which shifts the focus from the amygdala, which is fear and emotion, into the ventral striatum, which is more related to optimism and a more positive outlook. So using humor as a coping mechanism actually can improve psychological well-being. It can also help us enhance our memory and learning around a particular topic. So because it's connected with the brain's dopamine reward system, that information can get encoded more strongly in our memory. So that's why we tend to remember things like funny stories or even analogies that tend to stick with us a little bit longer than just a dry, hard, cold fact. And it's also social. When we laugh with other people, there's a mirror neuron system activation that's happening where both parties are enjoying that joke together, and it creates some synchrony between the people. And that helps to build trust and connection and even collaboration, which is great for building relationships, whether personally or in business. So some simple little practical strategies for adding more humor into your world. The easiest and first thing to do would be incorporating more consumption of humorous or funny things. So intentionally consuming content that makes you laugh. Whether it's stand-up comedy, or I like memes personally, funny podcasts, or even funny books. And you're kind of priming your neural pathways to recognize humor. And then you get both that anticipation as well as the reward of enjoying it when it's there. You can also write down things that you find funny, like your own funny stories that you'd like to retell. And as we consistently seek out things that are funny, it actually starts to train your brain's reticular activating system to notice humor more often. We kind of teach our brains what type of information we want it to keep seeking or looking for. So if you're constantly consuming really negative, downtrodden, upsetting content, your brain will keep seeking out more and more evidence of that in the world. Whereas if you are incorporating humor, and you're looking for things to be funny or funny stories or a more lighthearted approach, your brain can actually be trained to seek out that type of content. It's also helpful to have self-compassion, kind of gently laughing at your own mistakes and little quirks, making it funny, making light of it rather than taking yourself too seriously. And that helps to activate our own emotional self-regulation and reduce a little bit of that amygdala activation, letting your brain kind of get the message that it's not a threat. This is just something silly that I do. It's not that big of a deal. You can also take ordinary, boring tasks and turn them into something that's more fun. A lot of people like to gamify task management, and some of that, within reason, can help to trigger dopamine release, making things overall more enjoyable. You can also use humor strategically in your content creation where appropriate, and I would add making sure that you're not poking fun at a particular group of people if you are doing this from a professional sense. Just being mindful of how those jokes might land with your audience. And in general, I think that we can just work to take things less seriously, not to say that there aren't some things that are serious that need to be taken seriously, but often we can get into a space where we take everything so seriously and we get so upset over everything that we really lose any sense of enjoyment in our life, and it's not actually beneficial to ourselves or even to the causes that we care about. It doesn't take very long scrolling on social media to notice a lot of angry comments. And that's, again, not to say that there aren't some things that deserve our anger or our outrage. However, choosing what you'll engage with and what to keep scrolling past is a very worthy endeavor. That doesn't mean not standing up for injustice or not holding to our boundaries when that is warranted, but in general, just taking everything slightly less seriously and looking for the humor more in more situations where and when it's possible and appropriate. And if you are looking for a little bit of entrepreneurial, everyday, relatable humor, you should follow my social media accounts because I create my own memes, and that is purely just for fun and just for the humor and fun of my audience. And all of that information is available in the show notes. And until we connect the next time, I wish you the most magical and creative rest of your day. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.